Welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Happy Hour. Mike, what's up?
Dude, we got a lot going on.
Why are we dressed up, bro?
Because of our Thursday episode. We're out of our minds.
Friggin' bougie. I'm having real fun with these thumbnails.
Our thumbnails are great. Basically, our Thursday episode today was about etiquette on whiskey. And because of that, you had some brilliant idea. Middle of the workday, you're like, hey, let's wear suits. I'm like, oh my God.
Love
so
it.
I was like, fine, we'll do a suit. And then dress up in a suit, threw on our pins, naturally. And showed up, started rolling, and this is what we got. So now we got our weekly episode after we did our Wednesday and Thursday, because this is our life. We just pick one day, we do all the things, and then we move on.
It's hard to keep everything in order. And we are sponsored. So we'll get into all the specifics. Yeah, because this is outrageous. But
yes.
Today's sponsor is High Peaks. So High Peaks, thank you so much for being a sponsor of today's episode. We met them recently during an interview, and we just hit it off, and they loved what we do. We love what they do, and it was just an easy sponsorship idea.
Yes.
So have you flown a drone before?
Once, for a total of about 15 seconds, I had an anxiety attack and gave the controller back because I couldn't fathom just flying it into a tree.
They are so fun, and they are so hard to do, which is wild that they made a business out of it. So for everybody listening, are you looking to draw customers to your business in a new and exciting way? Surviving the pandemic may be hard, and traditional marketing services can burn a hole in your wallet. Let High Peaks Aerial Imagery solve your problems today. With our innovative interior-exterior drones and creative vision, we can create a cinematic marketing package for you without a Hollywood budget. High Peaks Aerial Imagery, located at the Seneca One Tower. Visit highpeaksimage.com. That is HIGHPEAKSIMAGE.com to get started today. I love it. We included them in one of our most recent interviews that we did, and it came out phenomenal. I love what they do. Yeah. And it stresses me out to no end to fly that thing because, dude, I've read so many drone reviews, and it's like, this can handle 20-mile-an-hour winds. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm not taking this thing out if it's even any semblance of wind. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, and to run a business in Buffalo is insane because our weather patterns they have their own mind.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even fathom any of it.
Go check them out. They're at highpeaks_AI on Instagram. They do some amazing cinematic shots. They are a great group of guys, great company, and they will do anything that you need them to. So go visit them and definitely go to their website. And if you have a business, I highly recommend it because an aerial shot of your business is just what people need nowadays because everyone can take a picture on their phone. But getting an aerial shot will separate you from everybody else, and it's just what you need to do.
There's that, but they also do first person. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
It's really cool.
Yeah, man.
So thank you, High Peaks, for sponsoring today's episode.
Boom.
Do we got sponsors?
We have sponsors. No idea why, but we're
2
doing
years
good things.
ago, that was a thought of ours, like, one day we'll do it. Did you ever think it was going to happen?
Yeah, because I knew we were obviously way too stubborn and way too dumb to quit. But it was fascinating that it took 2 years. I didn't know how long it was going to take. So for it to take 2 years, I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm cool with it regardless, but it's wild.
There is ways that we could have done it sooner that would have been not
as
a
organic?
Good idea. Because so the way sponsorship works, obviously, is a company is investing in us to help promote their brand because of our followers and listeners. That's the whole idea of sponsorship. So if you and I paid for followers and paid for listeners like some people do, we would be completely doing every business a disservice. We would be doing our sponsor a disservice because they would expect that we get 40,000 downloads per episode when we only get 2. And it would be just so not organic. It would be such a bad idea, but that would be a way for us to, is that a word? Inorganic?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
It has to be. Inorganic has to be.
I don't think so. Just like, regardless. I hate when people say that word. It's like, dude, that's not a word. Stop saying that. Inorganic. Oh, it is, because like inorganic compounds.
Yeah, see? I took chemistry.
Nailed it. Anyway, it would not have been a good idea for us to buy followers, buy listeners, and then be sponsored earlier, even though all those followers, all those listeners aren't truly listening to our podcast.
Yeah. So everything you just said. I was right. So I think you need to take a drink.
Dude, you poured me way too much.
I was right for the first time in probably the last 7 years of our friendship.
Let's be real here. You were right that was a word.
Yeah.
You weren't right that it was a word in that sentence.
What are you talking about?
If I was to say inorganic in that sentence, that wouldn't have been semantically correct because
it would have.
Organic means living, and that doesn't mean living.
It's still correct.
I don't think so.
It's still correct.
I think not organic is still correct. But irregardless.
There's got to be an English professor that's going to chime in with a comment. Just be like, you're both correct, and you're also both wrong. Here's why.
That'd be awesome.
I'm excited for it.
I just want somebody to tell us we're stupid.
Well, we can just look at our significant others, and they can tell us that. Goodness.
Dude, we have sponsors.
We do have sponsors. Congrats, man. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to that. Our first official sponsors.
But it's all thanks to you guys because you're actually stuck through and make this worth it for us, even though we probably would never have stopped weekly episodes. It's really cool that your feedback, your input, and what you guys provide, really, it has grown the platform to a point where it makes sense for a business to say, yeah, are you the largest Buffalo podcast? Absolutely not. Not right now. However, we love what you guys do. You're very organic in what you do, and we want to help support you guys and help build your brand, and that's Buffalo. I mean, it's really one of the most Buffalo things ever is just kind of small businesses helping our small business grow and kind of figure this whole thing out. So cheers to all of you that support us, and then cheers to the businesses that were the first to step up and say, yeah, I want to do this, and, take my money.
Oh, yeah.
It's wild. So what are we talking about?
We just have to keep growing and keep proving to people that we're worth it, which is why we wear suits today, because we are worth it. I'm just kidding.
Yes. 2 mice fell into a bucket of cream. Just kidding.
So what's your weird fact or interesting fact?
Weird fact of the day. It's a fun fact, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, for this one. Okay. If you're new here, I like to start every weekly episode with a fun fact. Sometimes they're depressing, sometimes they're comedy related. This one is just a cool, interesting fact. The Supreme Court has its own private basketball court. Guess its nickname.
The Supreme Court?
No. The highest court in the land.
Oh my God.
They're sophisticated, so of course I have to make it longer than what it should be, but yes. So, yeah, I just found that interesting. The Supreme Court has its own private basketball court, which I don't know if it makes sense because a Supreme Court justice is typically owed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are they really boxing each other out of the paint? You know what I mean? Like,
can you imagine?
I think, who's the only one?
Brady Cav just boxing Amy out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think Kavanaugh's the only one that can actually jump high enough to rebound.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what they got over there.
R.I.P. But can you imagine RBG going nuts there, just dunking on everyone?
On like a 7-foot rim back in the day, just going ham. Probably.
That's awesome. Who are the 9? Do you know off the top of your head?
The 9 Supreme Court justices off the top of my head? Yeah. No.
Is that bad that we don't, or should
probably
we not?
I mean,
they're appointed for life, so I feel like they are.
Yeah.
Supreme Court justices.
There's a good solid 5 of them that are very old. Not that it's a bad thing. They're just very old.
And age.
There's a solid 5. Yeah.
All right. So Sam Alito was appointed by George Bush. He's 71. Sonia Sotomayor, I did know her, is 67 years old.
She was recent, wasn't she?
Yeah, under Brock.
Yeah, there you go.
Brock also appointed Alina Kagan, who is 61. And then Donald J. Trump appointed Neil Gorsuch, who is 54.
Oh, so they're not that old.
No, dude.
I thought they were all like 70s. Except for obviously
Bill
the
Clinton
most recent.
Appointed Stephen Breyer, who is 83.
Okay, there you go. There it is.
There it is. George Bush appointed Clarence Thomas, who was 73.
W or H?
H.
Okay.
George W. appointed John Roberts, who's 66.
I remember that.
And then Donald Trump appointed Brett Kavanaugh, who is 56. That. Yep. And then Donald also appointed Amy,
which
who
we all
is
remember.
49.
Yes.
She's young.
Yeah. And she's there for life.
So isn't that wild?
That they're there for life? I think that's wild. I also think it's wild that Mark Poloncarz is in office until December 2023. So we'll move on.
Do you?
No, I don't.
Next question. Do you think that was a power grab? It has to be, right?
Yeah. You know the Senate's already going after him?
Is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, the Senate's already just like, hey, we're going to try to remove this power from you. But it has to go through all the court systems, and then Hochul has to actually approve it and then strip Poloncarz of power, which she is okay with what he's doing. So it's never going to pass, but at least the Senate's trying to fight. I mean, that's a good sign. The only thing that conservatives and Republicans and Democrats that agree with the right is vote. That's pretty much where we're at. Mm-hmm. Because can you impeach Poloncarz? I don't know. All I know is that we have to vote. And
you can impeach anyone in public office, but will it actually happen and hold weight?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Unless he touches like 14 people inappropriately.
Which he probably has.
I don't know. It's fine. We'll move on.
Do we, though? Do we want to move on?
Yeah.
It's very discouraging because
it didn't work the first time.
And
so what are we doing?
A majority of people are vaccinated.
We have a very high vaccination rate in Erie County.
So if the vaccines are supposed to work, why are we shutting down again, especially when it didn't work the first time?
Because the vaccines don't work, but you're not allowed to say that. And masks don't work, but you're not allowed to say that. So it's frustrating because
the vaccines do work. I do want to say that.
So first of all, nothing works as advertised,
correct,
which is my point. So I will elaborate. If we remember, which a lot of people don't, but Republicans have memories of elephants. Mm-hmm. Not saying that I'm a huge Republican. I'm very conservative, and my in-laws can attest to that because they understand that I'm way more conservative than Republican because there's a lot of things that I do agree with them on, and I will always call out the right. However, I will also always call out the left.
Always.
Always. So the vaccine was initially pushed to be the end-all be-all. Mm-hmm. Once the vaccine rolls out, COVID will no longer exist. That's our way out of this. We're going to move on. It's all set and good to go. 2 weeks, flatten the curve, wear a mask. The mask was supposed to flatten the curve and prevent people from spreading it to each other. Then it became vaccines are out. We're still seeing cases. Still wear a mask. Everyone got confused. And then more research came out and found out that natural immunity is extremely effective. There's a study out of Israel that proves that. And then there's a lot of case studies that are now coming out and circulating saying that natural immunity is anywhere from 6 to 13 times stronger than the immunizations from the 3 major immunization companies that presented vaccines. And then the mask came out with a lot of research and a lot of studies, which I told you that when I was in commercial HVAC, the mask is useless in regards to viruses. It's very effective in regards to
particle size.
Correct, but it's very effective in regards to bacteria. So is it going to stop the spread in regards to helping stop the spread? Yes, absolutely. Masks have a place. However, what they want a mask to do and what they're forcing on the population to then, basically be the solvent to their problem it's not the case. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't work the way they want it to, neither do the vaccines. And now over time, we're learning that. So if we're going to forget that the left already said it's a novel virus, you can't say that. When the right was saying this is like the flu, then you can't have it both ways. And neither side can have it both ways. So with the most updated mask mandate, it is very similar to the definition of insanity because we already know the phases don't necessarily work.
Yeah.
Specifically when it comes to right now, what are we getting hit with? No one's talking about it. Is it Delta? We don't know. Is it normal COVID? We don't know. Is it COVID in general? Blanket statement, blanket brush, COVID? No one's talking about it.
Everyone has a cold. And everybody with a cold
It's fall, bro.
Right. Everybody has a cold, and everybody with a cold now has severe anxiety because they think they're going to die because the media keeps telling them COVID will kill them.
Correct.
So if you're listening to this and you have a cold and you start exhibiting an anxiety attack where your heart rate skyrockets, it's malfunctioning like crazy because you're having severe anxiety attacks. You go to the hospital, they will probably put you in ICU because they think you might have COVID, and you are now being hospitalized because you have a cold. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
I don't like big government. So as soon as the mask mandate came out, I got annoyed.
Yeah. So do you think, hypothesize with me for a little bit, Donald J. Trump is the person who basically authorized this Operation Warp Speed to get these vaccines created? If he was still in office and they were still pushing the vaccine requirement, do you think Republicans would still be against it, or do you think Republicans would be in favor of it because it came from Trump? Like, are we at the point where it's so political that you are now for the vaccine based off of who's in office?
Yeah, probably.
That's what concerns me.
I think if Trump won a second term, there would have been mass burnings and riots and borderline civil war across the country. So, but does that mean that what we're currently experiencing is better? That's also up for debate. Mm-hmm. So obviously what we're experiencing now is better than burning buildings, right? Like that's without Christ. It's so annoying that we have to say that. Yeah, it's so annoying that we have to say that. But yes, I think that right now there's so much division in regards to I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to ignore A, B, and C so that it pushes my narrative. And it's the same thing with the Rittenhouse case. It's the same thing. It's all the same thing. If politics get involved, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
Each side has certain facts that push their narrative, while the other side has their certain facts to push their narrative. And at the end of the day, you don't agree, and you just refuse to say, I agree, and then move on. Or I disagree and move on. Right. Or disagree and move on. Mm-hmm. And that's where we're at.
It just concerns me the fact that I know if this was reversed, and first of all, if this was reversed, I don't believe that we would be making this virus to still be out as severe as it is if Trump was in office.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, what's annoying about any mask mandate or the push for vaccines is you have a lot of people that don't believe the vaccines work. Okay? Mm-hmm. So right now, we went from wear masks to get vaccinated, it'll remove COVID forever, to now we need 2 shots and a booster. We still have to wear a mask, to we're now forcing everybody to wear a mask, and we're going to do a restaged 4-stage approach in Erie County. But the vaccines were supposed to get rid of this, but masks were supposed to get rid of this, but now we're back to square one because nothing worked, but now we're just repeating the same process, and it's about to be 2022, when it was supposed to be 6 weeks to flatten the curve, and now it's month 840, like whatever it is. And that is only causing more people to have distrust in what is actually being put out by the government, because as much as you and I are on the same page with a lot of things, the government, I still believe, is still trying to do their best to make sure the public is healthy, because they're trying to ensure that the hospitals are not overrun, because, of course, the hospitals have a lot of problems right now, and they want to make sure that a lot of people don't die. And yes, that is great. That is wonderful. I understand that. I agree with that to a certain extent. What I don't agree with is reverting back to something that you know already failed and not learning from lessons learned.
Yeah.
And that is when I get annoyed, because the whole after action review part of me steps up, and it's like, what did we learn from the previous 1.5 to 2 years? Oh, nothing. So we're just going to repeat it. And this is why we have really dumb public officials elected into office, and everyone's too dumb to realize what's actually happening, or seeing the forest of the trees, or remembering what happened in the last 2 years to then make a decision on how they want to vote so that we can actually see a change. That is when I get annoyed, and that's when I get saddened.
Conspiracy theories bother me in these situations because you and I are on the same page where we don't believe that this is some government conspiracy to force fertility issues on everybody in the world because we're overpopulated. Nobody, for a majority of people, They do not want to inflict known harm on somebody else. And the government is not conspiring against us to kill us.
Right.
Like the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing. I am so annoyed with everybody that says he brought a gun to Kenosha. He wanted to kill people. Do you know what it's like to kill people? I don't. But nobody wants to kill people like that. You don't bring a gun being 17 years old to another state because you want to kill people. That is the worst argument in the entire world, because killing people has severe traumatic consequences to that I couldn't even fathom. Mm-hmm. So nobody wants to kill people. The government isn't saying we want to vaccinate everybody because the vaccine will kill half the... Like, that's not a thought. I can guarantee you that's not a thought. Do I think that they are being forced to make decisions based off of public outcry and the need for leadership? Absolutely. If Biden stood up on the podium, first of all, he can't stand. If Biden stood up on the podium and he said, we need to follow the science, we can't make any decision until we have all the science in, there's going to be half of the population that's freaking out saying, people are dying now. We need action now. So there's no right way to go about this, but going back to doing stuff that didn't make sense like 6 months ago is not the answer. I just don't know what the answer is.
Correct.
Like, so put yourself in his shoes right now.
Stop talking about it. Stop firing people over a vaccine.
Yeah.
Let people make a choice. There's a reason why Florida still has the lowest positivity rate across the country. It's because they just let it happen. Like, the government needs to do two things, in my opinion. Let it happen, which, yeah, it's going to piss off a lot of people. Newsflash, I just lost somebody to it. So I'm not sitting here saying that that's right or perfect, but at the end of the day, it happens. The whole argument of one is too many pisses me off, because at the end of the day, you're going to die anyways. Let it happen naturally. And then you can bring in religion, then you can bring in politics. Regardless, we're going to decompose and become dust and die. Hate to break it to you. Sorry to be the bad guy.
Thanks for High Beaks for sponsoring.
Yeah. We're all going to die, right? So
what a cheery episode
but it's tough for me because, yes, have empathy, care. I get it. I've lost a lot of family to COVID. You know what I also lost them to? COPD, RVS, whatever the hell it is.
RSV, yeah.
RSV, the flu, suicide, obesity, cardiac arrest, alcoholism. Name it. Alcoholism. Like, people are going to die. Stop playing God. First thing. The second thing is stop forcing a mandate or stop forcing a mandate that creates issues within your one thing that you actually need, which is healthcare. Why would you force a vaccine for somebody that hasn't had it in 2 years, and then you're saying you're gone because you're not vaccinated when they haven't had it in 2 years, and then creating a shortage, forcing other people to work here that aren't legal, and or using travel nurses to bounce around all over the country when they don't even have health insurance themselves. Ask any travel nurse what their health insurance policies are. You'll be sick to your stomach.
They get paid a ridiculous amount, but they don't have health insurance.
It's disgusting. And then now you're sitting here saying, we're going to blame the unvaccinated, when there's more proof around the world that natural immunity is just as effective as these ridiculously rushed, no case studies post-end. What happens after we inject ourselves with this vaccine? Mind you, I'm fully vaccinated. So did I do it? Yeah. Get off my back. However, I'm not saying it's right either. Like, the government forcing this, I'm always going to be against. And people trying to play God, I'm always going to be against. And my family punched a nun. So I can't sit here and say that I'm, God's gift to earth, even though my name literally means godlike. It doesn't. So I don't know what to tell you anymore.
Weird flex, Michael.
It does. But I don't know. The whole thing is so frustrating because, again, we're not learning from previous mistakes. We're not learning from past practices. We're not seeing any decline. We're seeing an increase, and we're very heavily vaccinated. And there's a lot of people that still wear a mask. Even when there was no mask mandate, there's a lot of people still wearing a mask. So what are we doing? Nothing. We're going round and round.
Yeah, that the CDC has until like 75 years to release data why boosters are required.
Yeah, it's a joke. And now there's more doctors coming out saying it's not required than ever before because they realize, dude, this is going to be a series of shots just like the flu. So the whole conspiracy thing, it's every single time a Republican has an opinion about, watch, this is going to lead to a vaccine mandate to enter a Bills game. I'm calling it now. 6 months go by, that's a thing. You bring it back up and they're all looking at you. Remember, Izzy, when you called me a conspiracy theorist? Well, now what? Like, because you can see the forest through the trees, and then they just forget. Whoever it is, they just forget. Like, hey, man, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just understand where this is going to go. And I'm sorry that you can't see that, and you refuse to just understand that every time you give government an inch, they take 6 miles.
Right.
So I'm sorry. I can't. The whole thing is frustrating. And I'm so glad at Thanksgiving, I'm just going to cook, drink, watch football, sleep, wake up and go to work on Friday. That's it. Like, I can't, dude. It's so annoying. And you wonder why more people are leaving New York than ever before.
Yeah, especially Buffalo. Like right now, I'm so tempted just to move to the southern tier, like out of Erie County.
Dude, you know how many people are moving flat out of New York?
Yeah.
I saw 4 posts already about friends saying that was my last draw. That's it. I'm going to Florida. That's it. I'm going to Texas. That's it. I'm going to Tennessee. I can't do this. I'm going to Carolinas. Like, I was going to wait 6 months. I was going to wait till after the I can't do it. That's it. Mm-hmm. It's every single day someone, and it's not just my age, it's people from retirement down to 22 years old, up and out. Can't do it. They're leaving New York. And you wonder why. And then you go to the gas station, and it's $54 to fill your tank, and you got a 2.0 T 4-banger. And then you're going to the grocery store, and a thing of brie used to be $5. Now it's $7.30. Then you're walking around, you're buying milk and eggs, and then all of a sudden it's $1.50 more than it was before. And then you're sitting here, why? What are we doing? I don't know. You voted for it, you clown. So if I'm supposed to sit here and be quiet and not get upset or annoyed, this is literally what you vote for. This is why voting matters. Yeah. And if you don't realize that, I don't know what else to tell you. And this is why we get so mad.
Did you see Austria? You need a vaccine to go get gas.
Yeah.
So you can't literally leave your house.
What are we doing? Is it really that bad? Like, no, it's not. Because there's other countries that acknowledge the actual science that other countries just neglect and say, nah, that's not true. We're just going to scare the absolute bejesus out of people. I can't do it anymore. I'm fed up. And I follow everything. I'm fully vaccinated. I traveled internationally in 2020. Get off my back. If you want to come at me, try it. It's not worth my time. I'll just block you. I really don't care. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. And I keep telling my wife, it's not worth it. Like, taxes, ridiculous policies, these dumbass people in office, and what's annoying, the people that are willing to go into office, or the people that should go into office don't want to do it. Correct. Because it's so toxic. So now we're picking the bottom of the barrel, no pun intended, because we don't have any barrels anymore because let's go Brandon. And then this is what we get. We get more cahoots in there that are all just trying to line their pockets. Makes no sense. You tell me how someone makes $400,000 a year, but then all of a sudden they make $400 million by the time their second term's over with, and they buy a house in the Hamptons. Shut up. The whole system's shot. The whole system. And you will never be able to tell me otherwise.
So, okay. What's up, everybody?
Vote red. No, I'm just kidding.
How do we stop that?
Vote.
But
dude,
Republicans
vote.
are the same way.
I know that, but we have to, right now, whatever direction we're in is not working. Clearly. No one wants to spend $50 more at the gas station. Nobody wants to spend $150 more at the grocery store. Everyone's sick of increasing taxes. I'm sorry, what's different? Newsflash, nothing.
It was fun having sponsors.
So what's the point, man? What are we doing? What are we paying for?
You know what's controversial?
I'll tell you what's controversial, Derek. This shows up and we drink it. In New York State, the same fluid out of that bottle not the brand, not the barrel.
From Bernie Sanders, Vermont.
The bottle. The bottle is taxed 7 times before we can drink it, dude. 7 times? For what? Why? Where does that go? I couldn't tell you because the roads still suck. I crammed a pothole at 45 on the way here. I left my seat and landed, and then I kept singing out loud because that's what you get. It was like I was back in Kyiv. Ukraine, by the way, for those that don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. 7 times this got taxed?
You know what's controversial?
Kathy Hochul's dress that she wore?
No, the fact that we tried, there was an actual effort to bring somebody in that's not a politician to fix the country, and everybody hated him immediately.
Yeah.
Like, before he ran for president, he was one of the most adored people in the entire country.
Yeah.
You ask any politician, they were best friends with him before he ran for office. And then he ran on the wrong side of the aisle, and everybody started hating him. Was his personality atrocious? Absolutely. Were his tweets unnecessary? 1,000%. But he was not a politician. He was a good dude coming out into a businessman that was going to change our country, and everybody started hating him because of the fact that he was on the wrong side of the aisle. That's very aggravating to me because we tried, and now no businessman is going to want to go. Do you think for a second that Musk or Jeff Bezos or any millionaire will run for office anymore if they're just going to get ripped to shreds because of their previous tweets or whatever? Dude, no one is going to want to run for office that can actually change this country because their life will be turned upside down. Yeah. It'll never, ever happen.
No. To be fair, you said millionaire, but then named 2 billion/trillionaires. So that's fine.
Same thing.
But yeah, yes, you're right. There are, however, 6 to 8 former Navy SEALs running for office down in Texas for Congress. So there's that. You're starting to see it. I mean, even Jocko made a comment recently on Jack Carr's podcast, and Jack Carr wrote, he's an author, and he wrote The Terminalist, which is actually going to be a new show on Amazon starting in December. It's a fantastic
with
book
Chris
series.
Pratt, right?
Yeah, Chris Pratt's the main character. So Jack Carr asked him.
What is it? Amazon?
The show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jack Carr asked Jocko when he had him on, he goes, hey, what? Not if you would run for office, but what would it take for you to run for office? And Jocko said, it's not that I haven't thought about it. I don't want to run for office, but I love this country more than me not running for office or not wanting to run for office rather. So if it gets to the point where I just can't take it anymore, I'll run for office. And you have a lot of guys that, like me, not saying that I'm on the same level as Jocko. God's sakes, no. What I'm saying is there's a lot of people with the same beliefs as me. I have a lot of the same feelings and opinions as Jocko, same as Jack Carr, and then other guys in that realm where being a patriot means something, understanding the Constitution means something, believing in the Constitution and Bill of Rights means something, and having some faith in the judicial system while still acknowledging that the judicial system needs work, policing needs work, like modern society hot topics, of course. Like, there's a lot of people in the middle that will acknowledge that. Of course, the alt-right will never, and then the alt-left just screams about it all day. But, you know, it's being screamed about and discussed for a reason. So to see those guys saying, like, there's going to be a point where enough is enough and I just have to run for office to actually make change, that allows me to sleep at night because then I have hope. And
well, that's what our original country was basically founded on from a government standpoint. Everybody that was in the government served. Well, the term commander-in-chief.
I mean, look at George Washington.
Exactly.
They were like, who's going to be the first president of the United States? Well, it's like, well, who's going to be the commander-in-chief? Who's going to be in charge of the country? It's like, well, who's our current general?
Right.
Like George Washington, plus he's 6'2". Like, it makes sense. He's a statue. Yeah, he's a stud.
Hung like a horse.
Right. And, like, we need a guy to step up who's going to do it. And then, of course, Washington's extremely humble and says, if you guys think it's me, I'll do it because of you. Like, okay, where the hell did that go?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And then focus on domestic policy as opposed to foreign policies. Where did that go? So all of these things do matter, and it allows me to know that there's a lot of people that are more middle ground, and there's a lot of progressive liberals that went way off the deep end, but there's a lot of liberals and just normal left-leaning folk that want compromise from both parties and understand that the two-party system is deteriorating. If you look and you break down the decline of Rome, it's exactly where we're at. So we'll see what happens in 20 years and see if we can get out of this. But, I mean, it's dismal right now because we're in the thick of it. So it's going to take a lot of people that step up. And, I mean, one of the things that was very alarming for me at a young age was when Barack called the Constitution a historical document. It doesn't matter. That was my first wake-up call. And then from then on, I was just like nose deep into it because I was like, what are you talking about right now? Like, not at all. Like, you have to follow that. You're the president. So if you're calling it that, then what else are you doing?
Right.
And then that, that changed everything for me.
The issue is a lot of people with our similar mindset are not on social media anymore.
And they don't vote.
Right. Because they just are sick of everything.
And they don't know when elections are because they're not tapped in.
And they're not watching
anything.
Yeah, they're not watching news. They're not watching anything. So the people that are the most highlighted are the people on the far side because they're stupid people that just want to drum up drama.
It's really sad when conservatives and Republicans want to run for office, but they have to write in the fact that they're actually a Democrat just to get votes. And then as soon as they're in office, then they actually just do what they want to do as a Republican. That's sad. You shouldn't be labeled something automatically because you're in either party, really. So the whole thing is just shot.
So
hand me that bottle because I need a drink.
Yeah, really. We never talked about the actual result of the mayoral election.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Thankfully, Byron won.
Byron destroyed her. It wasn't even close. And
What was the ending total? Do you know?
No. He beat her by multiple points where it wasn't even like she had a chance to just kind of dispute it. Coming at you. It was interesting to see the left scream about Byron Brown winning when now I understand the whole FBI investigations raiding his office. Byron Brown has done a lot of things that are questionable. I get it. However, it's
first of all, I got to give you credit. You said 60-40?
Yeah.
It's 59.57 to 39.88.
I'm watching it, dude. I'm in it. I'm telling you, it's behind closed doors. I'm in it because I have to.
Impressive.
It's the city of Buffalo. We're the Buffalo Happy Hour.
So, do you think that the suburbs should be able to vote for Buffalo mayor?
I want them to.
But
yes,
you want them to because
me.
most of the suburbs are Republican.
In Western New York, yes, but that's not why. I feel like here's why I want that to happen. This is why I want the suburbs to be able to vote for mayor. And it's exclusively for Buffalo and Western New York. A lot of people from the suburbs go to the city and spend a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money. And to restrict their voting ability or privilege or right. Yeah, right. It's not a privilege, it's a right. From them, because they don't necessarily live within city limits, is bothersome to me because dude, everyone that we know from the suburbs, regardless of age, goes into the city and spends money. And if you're doing that to help further grow the city of Buffalo, you should have a stake in the game if you're spending your own hard-earned money into the city. So to limit it, I get it, right? I fully understand why it's in place the way it's in place. There's just a little part of me that's kind of like,
well, if you think about it,
that. But it makes sense. It's just kind of like the part of me is like,
yeah,
because I don't want a Democratic Socialist in office, and to see the left scream about it, like, dude, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to see the left complain about a Democrat beating a Democrat. There wasn't even a Republican running. Like, you're that far left, you can't even acknowledge your own victory. You're upset about it. That's really sad to me. It is.
It's wild, man. But that is a step forward, right? I mean, that is a small victory in
it is.
Buffalo's.
I just want the FBI, which in recent years has gone tremendously downhill, which is also sad to admit.
Yeah. But do you think
I want them to basically hammer Byron for what he did too, because he's no perfect peach.
Right. But do you have the same confidence that a Republican would beat India Walton if they run again in 2026? That's the issue, is that I don't know if...
Because the city's blue.
Yeah, the city's super blue, and I don't know if the fact that we would elect a Republican in the city of Buffalo over a Democrat, regardless if you're socialist or not.
I think they will, because the left went so far left that now the right is looked at as conservative. I mean, it's really interesting because most people don't wake up to politics until it directly impacts their wallets. Well, today's the day, Buttercup, because if you go to the gas station, if you go to the grocery store, if you do anything... It's impacting you.
Dude, he's denied like 2 pipelines.
Yeah.
That would directly result in our gas going down.
And now he wants to use the reserve oils.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
The reserve tank. It's like 50 million barrels. Like, hey, dumbass, like, why don't you just use the pipelines and then just create your own oil like what it was set when it was 96% completed when your ridiculous executive order knocked it out. And then, mind you, you eliminated 2,000 plus jobs for hardworking Americans that pay their mortgage, and then you just, with a stroke of a pen, eliminate it. Like, there's no thought, there's no forethought, there's nothing. No one is looking past what their initial knee-jerk reaction is. It's the same thing with this Gojacketa Highway, where you went from 60, it was like 65 to 35. Yeah. Like, it should be 45, because you know damn well everyone's going 45 anyways. Just because one kid died in the park because someone fell asleep at the wheel, like...
It happens on through like every other day.
It's frustrating, and it bothers me because it's the same thing as it is relatable to a lot of other aspects, including firearms. Like, when you hunt or when you shoot something, you should know what's beyond your target. If they don't know what's beyond their target, anyone in power does not know what's beyond their target. They just fire rounds around, and then they just say, "Nah, we're not worried about the SDZ." It's very frustrating. Yeah. Because we're just creating issues for ourselves.
But I feel like people are waking up, right?
They are.
Because, I mean, talking about rounds, the whole Kyle Rittenhouse case, I wasn't super, like, I didn't think that it was going to go the way that it did. Because if you think about the Derek Chauvin case, that didn't go the way it did because of the fact that the mob basically terrorized the jury.
Yeah.
So we're going in the right direction. But how long
that was also a clear-cut case. I mean, there was... And I understand there's facts on both sides of the aisle. Chill out. However, this was a very there are other self-defense cases that are not as strong as Rittenhouse's self-defense case was.
Where did the whole fact of him being racist come out? He shot a white guy.
The media.
He shot 3 white guys.
Yeah, the media had an initial photo of him holding an AR walking down the street, and they labeled him a white supremacist because of what he was doing at the riots. They immediately labeled him... Because he was anti what the crowd wanted, they labeled him white supremacist, and then it's bread. And that was it. And then his lawyer didn't help either.
That's wild, dude.
Correct. The media has a lot more power than people realize. And now our generation knows the media is an absolute joke. The previous generation is still kind of like they put their foot in the sand and they're like, this is me, this is what I watch, like this is what I trust. If they're reporting it, it has to have some truth because otherwise they wouldn't be reporting it, which granted, I also understand, acknowledge, and respect. However, do a little more outside research, right, which isn't being done. Our generation does that because we grew up with a 20-year war. We grew up with a lot of political shit shows.
But there's a lot of people in our generation that feel like stuff should be handed to them now because we're so far in debt that they need government help to get out of it.
Do you think that's our generation or the one right after us?
I think part of ours.
I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
Well, regardless, there's a generation after ours that feels like they're entitled to everything and they need government help. So if we are going to go take a step forward, we need them on our side.
You know what I think is going to be the end-all be-all fix? Our generation's kids.
Yeah.
Because we're the perfect blend of old school. Dude, we were in middle school when Facebook came out.
Mm-hmm.
So when that whole thing went on, like the discussion we had at Hartman's, I'm like, hey, when were you born? And she's like, oh, like after 9/11. I'm like, tell me about your life. Because
scared the shit out of that chick.
Grow up. Welcome to the real world, sweetheart. You know, you're in the Thunderdome now. Like, welcome to a Mike Kelly conversation. But it was... We had to basically hammer her with, like, what was your life like? Because it was so vastly different from ours. We were still part of the generation of go play war in the woods. Go show up when the streetlights come on. Go skateboard somewhere and vandalize. Like, go to the mall, walk around. Those things don't exist. Her generation didn't have that. So
they're that entitled generation that needs their parents to do everything for them.
Kind of, but it's because it's not necessarily their fault.
Their parents' fault.
In a sense.
Well, I mean, if you grow up having your parents do everything, then you're an adult and you want someone else to still do something. That's the government.
I believe not our parents, but the generations after us parents.
I gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Were the
hippie generation.
Not necessarily
that
the
grew
hippie.
up in the 70s or 80s.
But they were the ones that fully embraced what I did not have growing up, my kid has to have. I'm convinced of this. And then because of that, they created what they created. Our kids are going to have that, right? However, they're also going to, like our kids, have the frank conversation with their parents of, hey, and you see this with Shaq. Like Shaq goes, "You're not rich, I'm rich." Right? Literally, that's a quote of Shaq.
I know, I love him.
And we're going to have that frank conversation like, "Hey, look around, piss pot. Like, all of this is because I went to work 7 days a week.
Shit's getting real.
I learned how to do this on YouTube because when I was ready to do this project, my parent already passed or my parent didn't have that ability, but luckily I had the technology to teach myself how to do it. So now it's your turn to, yes, you can have this, but then this is the blueprint to work your tail off to earn it yourself. And that is going to be the switch between old school and new school moving forward. And I'm already seeing that with my friends that have kids before 30. They're raising their kids that way, all of them, because they're
you also
realizing,
surround
hey,
yourself with very similar people.
Even friends, I mean, dude, there's people that I graduated high school with that have had kids. They're on their like third, fourth kid that already do that. I just watch them from afar. We haven't talked in 12 years, and they're doing that. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it's again,
I know.
Yeah, but to finish that point, it resorts back to, and to acknowledge that it resorts back to the fact that my dad always said, "Don't burn a bridge," like we talked about before, because then you can pull from all that. And I'm not friends with them. It's just we just don't talk. So
right.
There's no hard feelings. It's just we just don't talk. So they're doing their thing. I'm doing my thing. But I still care about them. I still acknowledge them. And then that's how they raise their kids. So to see that, it's remarkable because that is going to basically change the landscape of the workforce. They're going to realize like, hey, I'm working at Tim Hortons right now, but I'm still in high school. Mm-hmm. I'm working at Tim Hortons right now, but I'm in college. I'm a supervisor at Tim Hortons, but I'm in college. So once I'm done with college, I'm going to take my degree and then go somewhere. Or I'm not going to college. I'm jumping into a trade. I'm going to work my tail off, and then my employer is going to pay for my apprenticeship. My employer is going to pay for my continuing education, and then I'll make 60 plus grand a year. And then we're good to go. So, and now we're starting to see this shift in schooling from you have to go to college. If you don't go to college, you're an idiot, to we need people in trades. Yeah. And of course, the schools do what the real world wants, because at the end of the day, the real world is knocking. So the first wake-up call that not only our generation had, but the generation after us, because now they're in this realm, go buy a house.
So are we raising our grandparents?
Are we raising? Yes, we are. We're raising our grandparents.
This is the cycle that we're going through.
Correct. Yep.
So we, as a generation, are now raising the kids that our grandparents are right now. So
Mm-hmm.
trade people, hardworking people, probably military.
Yeah.
Because we're growing up in a society that doesn't appreciate them, and they're going to be growing up saying, "I need to get in because I need to save this country." I feel like it's just a cycle.
It is. It's the hard times.
It's wild to think about.
It's the hard times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. Hard times create hard men, etc. It's that. It
hard
happens.
create soft times.
Yeah. So that's where we're at, and right now we're dealing with the soft people, and it drives me nuts because I'm not soft.
This?
Kind of. But yeah, I mean that's where we're at. That's what we're seeing. I mean every the other issue is spending, dude. Spending. We're spending too much money. And the current generation spending the money doesn't care because it's not their problem. So,
do you think a new Social Security type program
Social Security is going to fail? We're never going to.
That's what I'm saying. So,
yeah,
like
we're
a
not
Social Security like program is implemented within our lifetime.
Yeah, because it'll have to, because Social Security right now, as is not going to last. We're not going to get it. We've paid into it since we entered the workforce at 15.
Do you see the U.S. or the world going against paper money? Like, paper money's gone.
I don't think so.
Or do you think that we go back to the gold?
I would love to go back to gold, but I don't know if it's going to work. But I don't think crypto's the answer.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the replacement, the end-all be-all. I don't, because you can't.
It's a fad. Crypto's a fad.
It's not that it's a. I mean, yes and no. Like,
dude, you're creating memes. Dogecoin was a meme, and now that has money towards it.
Right.
It's a fad. Bitcoin maybe not, but all these ancillary pieces are.
Yeah.
You know how much money you have to invest into actually mining a Bitcoin now?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. They surpassed 65.
Yeah, 65. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
65,000, by the way. I mean, that's where we're at, dude. We need a wake-up call. We need men in suits.
Hell yeah.
We need some serious standards back. We need a real kick in the ass, and then we need to realize that hard work actually matters, because this whole we'll wait for the government to hand it out is not the answer. It's going to drive up prices. We're going to lose our minds, and we're not going to live the American dream. So go to work, vote red, go in the military. I mean, there's a lot to it, man. Half of that was a joke, by the way.
Do you ever see us going back to, like, the draft?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think we got the stones. Did you?
I think that we
do
got
the
too
draft
many
thing
people.
When you were 18?
Yeah, you had to.
Did you, though?
I mean, I don't know the consequences of not.
Bill Clinton didn't. Ali didn't.
Really?
Yeah, there were draft dodgers. Trump, too.
Attaboy. What a loser.
I mean, honestly makes me sick to my stomach.
Do kids still have to do it at 18?
Depends on the parents. Yeah, but it depends on the parents. It's not enforced.
How did we know to do it?
Our parents. You're just told by the people older than you. Hey, you're 18. You got to sign up for the draft. Like, what are you talking about? It's like, yeah, you got to sign. The draft's not going to happen, but you got to sign up for it. Like, oh, I did, and then I enlisted.
Yeah,
anyways.
I did too.
Yeah, I enlisted at 19.
I didn't.
Yeah,
but I don't like. When was the last time the draft was actually used? Nam?
Yeah, Nam.
Which was what?
68? 64? 60s. Mid-60s. Because 68, I think it was like ending. My stepdad heard Nam. He told me a story when his number was called. Oof. Wild.
So you don't ever see that coming back? Because
No.
we're too soft as a society?
I mean,
Can you imagine half of the population going in to the draft?
I would love it. Oh my God, I would love it.
Dude,
I
half
would
of them
love all
would die.
these hipsters with their friggin' man buns and their colored beards, just shave it all off. Yeah, go run 2 miles and throw up. You're not getting a rice cake today, nerd. You know? Oh my God, I would love it. 64 to 73.
You're not getting a rice cake today, nerd.
Nope.
That's the title of this episode. You're not getting a rice cake today, nerd.
Nope. Do push-ups.
Oh my God.
Yeah, followed by flutter kicks until I'm tired. Yeah, it's amazing. Dude, I miss it. I miss a lot of aspects of it, but it would help a lot of, and if you ask any vet, do you think there should be mandatory 2 years of service? They all say yes without a shadow of a doubt within one single heartbeat.
Well, that's what China still does, right? Does China do 2 years mandatory?
I don't know what the China's
service?
Communist Party does. I know Switzerland is like that too.
Yeah.
2 years mandatory service. Shut up, serve your country. Understand you don't have it as great as everybody else in the world, and you also don't have it as worse as everybody else in the world. You have it pretty damn good here. Here's your service rifle. You know how to use it. Just like that Rittenhouse prosecutor moron that's literally flagging everybody, has no understanding about fundamentals of firearm safety.
Putting his finger on the trigger.
Oh, shouldering
nerd.
it, dude.
Yeah.
Shouldering it. Oh, it was clear. Did you clear it? Did you pull the charging handle back and check the chamber? No. You don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Like,
did Alec Baldwin clear it?
Clearly not. He didn't even check it, idiot.
Jesus Christ.
It's not just, I mean,
What a disaster that is.
100%. And then now what does he say after years of defund the police? Now we need police on all sets. Oh, now you want more police? Oh my God, swallow glass. That guy drives me nuts.
There's reports that are coming out that saying like he intentionally pointed the gun at her.
Yeah, I don't.
Like, do you think that it was a joke where he like pointed the gun at her and was like, oh, bang, like, aha, gotcha?
No, I believe the reports if he's like, hey, is this a shot you're trying to get? And then he pulls the trigger because he doesn't understand firearm safety, and he ended up killing her because he literally pointed it at her because, again, he's an idiot. Dude, the fundamentals of firearm safety are so easy. There's 4 rules. Just follow them, and then you literally won't kill anybody.
Well, you know that they turned down an NRA trainer, right?
Yeah.
The producer did?
Yeah.
You know who the producer is? Mm-hmm. Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
It's just a disaster all around.
It is. It makes me sick to my stomach. And then again, 2 years mandatory service, everybody would have, like, understand, like, firearms, discipline, integrity, values, name it. It would just be all sense of entitlement would be gone. You could actually leave the American bubble and realize how good you have it. The whole thing just makes me sick to my stomach and angry. And then I just
people don't even leave their state bubble, let alone the American bubble.
Correct, which is I just can't. I can't. I literally can't.
There's a lot of people that have not left New York.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that haven't even left their own county.
That's wild.
Dude.
Listen, we love Buffalo more than anybody, but leave Buffalo every once in a while.
Yeah, go see something. Go get some sun. I mean, even Jordan.
Get some sun.
Yeah, even Jordan Poyer. He's like, we all know there's not much to do in Buffalo. Like, there's really not because there's really not. Like, right. Yeah, there's something to do every day, but like, it's really not.
Yeah.
Our climate sucks. Our taxes suck. If you're going to travel. Man, Buffalo's on my list. Who the hell says that? I know
if anything,
2
Niagara
people,
Falls is on your list because you want to see the 7th wonder of the world.
and it's a quick trip.
Which is
it's
still
a day
wild
trip.
that the 7th wonder of the world is in our backyard.
Yeah.
And we don't see it at all.
No, because it's run by the mob and then drug lords and the Indians, and it's a disgrace.
Somebody goes over in a whiskey barrel every once in a while, though.
Oh, well, it's called suicide, Derek.
Are we done? Are we done yet? All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Please still say sponsors, High Peaks, because this was... Seriously, if you guys are in the market, if you have a business and you do want a unique shot of your business, hit up High Peaks, highpeaksimage.com. They are awesome guys. They're
veteran-owned.
Yeah, they're veteran-owned, and they know how to properly frame a shot to help you promote your business. If you are new here, please consider subscribing. Today was a political rant. We do a lot of stuff all over the place, whether it's our weekly recap, political rants, Bills talk. We didn't even talk about the Bills because we're still too depressed and hungover from that loss. But we talk about everything and anything. So if you are new here and you are interested in either our Wednesday whiskey reviews that we do every Wednesday with the help of Eddie's Wine and Spirits, we have a Thursday upload where we do any topic whiskey related, with also the help from Addie Wine and Spirits. And we also do Friday interviews. If you're here watching this episode from any of those, thank you very much. And give us a couple episodes to win you over because we will cover every and all topics. We just talk what we want to talk about.
This is our show. We own the rights. Yeah. We do what we want.
And all we do is drink whiskey and then rant. So thank you. But if you are going to pick up any of the products that we review, any topics that we look at from a whiskey standpoint at all, please remember to always drink responsibly, be a good person, and Michael.
Don't litter, or else I'll find you.
We're out.